Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." This is the story of Elijah's rest, a man who tried to find peace in success and found it instead in surrender. Now, close your eyes and let your heart listen. The story begins. It was 2:03 a.m. Elijah's apartment glowed with the cold blue light of his laptop screen. His eyes burned. His heart pounded. The code on the screen blurred into a meaningless sea of characters. The project deadline loomed, less than 36 hours away. His coffee had gone cold hours ago. His hands trembled as he rubbed his temples. Notifications kept popping up. Slack messages, client emails, calendar reminders, all shouting for his attention, all demanding something from him. He was 29, a software engineer who once believed that hard work could build peace. But now, his mind was a battlefield, a war between exhaustion and expectation. Elijah leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling, where shadows flickered in sync with the city lights outside. Somewhere far below, traffic still roared, car horns, sirens, the pulse of a sleepless city. He whispered into the silence, "Why do I feel so tired, even when I haven't moved?" The next morning, Elijah dragged himself out of bed after barely 2 hours of restless sleep. The world outside was already buzzing. Buses groaning, people rushing, phones ringing. He forced himself to shower, to dress, to pretend. But inside, he felt like he was carrying 1,000 invisible weights, deadlines, loneliness, the quiet ache of meaninglessness. At lunch, a colleague joked, "Elijah, you look like your soul's debugging itself." He laughed weakly, but the words hit too close to home. That night, when he finally closed his laptop, he felt something inside him break. He stood by the window, looking out at the city lights. So many people awake, so many lives running on empty. And in that moment, Elijah whispered, "God, are you even there? Because I can't do this anymore." A few days later, on a rare Sunday off, Elijah went for a walk. His mind was foggy, but something drew him toward the old botanical garden near his apartment. A quiet place he hadn't visited in years. The air was still, the sunlight warm and golden. The sound of birds filled the air, gentle and free, a world away from his usual noise. He sat on a bench beneath a flowering tree and closed his eyes. For the first time in a long while, he didn't scroll, didn't plan, didn't think. He just sat. And there, surrounded by life and silence, he fell asleep. In his dream, Elijah stood in a wide-open field, grass bent softly in the wind. The sky stretched endless and golden. And from the distance, a man began walking toward him. He was simple, clothed in white, barefoot, yet his presence felt vast, as if light itself had taken form. His eyes were calm, deeper than oceans. Elijah felt a strange mixture of awe and recognition. When the man spoke, his voice was soft, yet it carried straight through Elijah's soul. "You've been carrying a heavy burden, haven't you, Elijah?" Elijah's throat tightened. He nodded, tears welling. "I try so hard," he whispered, "but no matter what I do, it's never enough. I'm afraid to stop, afraid it'll all fall apart if I do." The man smiled gently and took a step closer. "You think peace is earned," he said, "but peace is received." Elijah shook his head. "I don't even know how to stop." Then the man, Jesus, placed a hand over Elijah's heart, and in that touch, Elijah felt something he hadn't known in years. stillness. "Come to me," Jesus said, his voice like a breeze that silenced every storm. "All who are weary and burdened, come to me, and I will give you rest." Elijah's tears fell freely, but the work, the deadlines, the noise, it never stops. Jesus smiled. "The world's noise won't stop," he said, "but you can. Rest isn't the absence of chaos. It's the presence of me within it. You were never meant to carry it all. Lay it down, Elijah. All of it. The fear of failing, the need to prove yourself, the belief that your worth is in what you produce. Lay it at my feet." Elijah sank to his knees, the weight in his chest breaking open. "I don't know how to let go," he whispered. Jesus knelt beside him, eyes full of compassion. "Then let me hold you until you do." And for the first time in his life, Elijah stopped striving. He didn't fix. He didn't plan. He didn't earn. He simply rested, not just his body, but his soul, and a field filled with light. When Elijah woke, the afternoon sun had shifted. The garden was quiet, except for the sound of a single bird singing nearby. He sat there, motionless, his face still damp with tears. But something was different. The world hadn't changed. His job was still waiting, his inbox still full, his bills still due. But his heart felt lighter. He inhaled deeply. The air felt sacred somehow. He whispered, "You're still here, aren't you?" And though no sound answered him, Elijah felt it, that same presence, warm and steady, resting within his chest. That night, when he opened his laptop again, the blue light still glowed the same way, but his eyes saw differently. He worked, but without fear. He paused, but without guilt. He breathed deeply, like someone who had finally found home. When his anxious thoughts tried to return, he remembered Jesus' words, "Rest isn't the absence of chaos, it's the presence of me within it." And Elijah smiled. He closed his eyes and whispered, "Lord, I'm still tired, but I'm no longer empty." Outside, the noise of the city went on. Horns, engines, people hurrying through their restless lives. But within Elijah, there was a quiet garden now, a still place where he could always meet the one who had said, "Come to me." And so, even in the middle of deadlines and data, Elijah had found rest, not the kind that comes from sleep, but the kind that comes from surrender. Moral: the world teaches us to rest when the work is done. Pause. But Jesus teaches us to rest while the work is being done. Because peace isn't found in control, but in trusting the one who holds it all.